I really do feel like the entirety of our lives come down to sacrifices. What are you willing to give up for the life that you say you want to live? And when we ask ourselves this very specific question, a lot of the times, a lot of us may say that we're willing to sacrifice time, we're willing to sacrifice certain relationships, friendships, whatever it may take in order to get ourselves to that next level. But I've gotten to the point in my life where I realized that, a lot of people just simply don't want it enough. We may feel like deep down inside that we're willing to make certain sacrifices in order to receive or at least manifest this form or this lifestyle that we want to live, but we don't have any action or any works to show for it. And that's why I personally feel like the concept of self reflection and the overall impact and the potential that it can have on our lives is very important. You have to really be able to look yourself in the mirror and hold yourself accountable. Of course, we all want to be great and we all want to go out and do, great things in life. But it doesn't necessarily matter what you want to do. The only thing that matters is what you're going to do. Everything around us is very transactional, from the relationships, the friendships. Something has to be given majority of the times in order to receive anything in return. Just think about friendships. Majority of us only deal with people that we feel like we can call on whenever we may need a favor, and we want that energy to be reciprocated. In terms of love, we only deal with people or pour into people that may want to pour into us as well, making sure that we get or we have that balance of equality so that we're making sure we're getting something in return. So really just understanding this puts us in a different headspace, and it shows us how the world truly works. It shows us that we may not ever receive anything unless we're willing to sacrifice something, or unless we're willing to give something in return. And a lot of the times we have to do a lot of the giving even before we do the receiving. And a few of the common struggles that people face in terms of finding direction in this form of sacrifice is not actually putting themselves in a position to be able to acquire the type of lifestyle that they want to live. And by this, I simply mean that you can say that you want something out of life. You can have these high hopes and these high dreams for your future, and not do a single thing to acquire this type of lifestyle. So you're really just leading yourself astray. You're allowing all this time to pass, telling yourself that this is what's going to happen, this is what I'm going to do, but you're not doing anything in this very moment to act or to allow these dreams that you have to come into your life. You personally have to be the one to get the ball rolling. And my life changed completely when I stopped waiting around for a sign or a signal in order to give something, in order to make something happen in my life. I had to be the one that initiated that form of change that I so desperately desired. And I feel like at some point during all of our lives, we eventually get to the point where we get tired of waiting. We get tired of waiting to be saved. We get tired of waiting for some big moment that just changes everything. And I finally came to terms with myself that it's not even necessarily about a big moment or some type of dramatic saving. It's really the small things that amount to the bigger picture. So you taking those baby steps, learning how to pour not only into people, but pour into yourself so that you can get the lifestyle that you want to live, doing the small things on a daily basis, putting yourself in a position to see it through, even though it may not seem significant at this very moment, but realizing at some point it is going to be significant, it is going to pay off. And in reality, there's so many different forms of transformative questions that I asked myself in terms of, this concept of what I was willing to sacrifice for the life that I wanted to live. And another one is, who is going to be responsible if I do not make it to where I want to make it? And as simple as this question may sound, when you ask yourself that, when you look yourself in the mirror and you hold yourself accountable, you realize that, you may have people to blame in this very moment, or you may feel like you aren't where you should be because of another person. But at the end of the day, this is your life. At the end of the day, it is not going to matter the impact that the next person had. The only thing that's going to matter is how you made adjustments and you kept pushing forward with the life that you were blessed with. We all have somebody that we can blame, or we all have somebody that we can kind of put the weight on or the baggage, but what problem is that going to solve? So just asking yourself that question, man, it really just helps you, put yourself in a different headspace and, appreciate the beauty and accountability, something that so many different adults lacked in. I've had such a huge problem with this for a lot of time in my life until I started to realize that nothing was going to change. Nothing was going to change unless I really just did everything in my power to see that change come in my life. Not worrying about the things that I didn't have or what people did to me or how people had an impact on where I'm at right now, but really just doing what I can do to see something different happen in my life. But there truly is so much power in this form of sacrifice. And if you haven't gotten to the point in your life where you realize that you have to give in order to receive, I think now may be the time that you consider it. If you're stagnant or you're not where you want to be and you've just kind of been coasting through life, it may be because you just haven't sacrificed enough. Everything around us is transactional, like I mentioned before. You may not realize that even to get in our cars, we got to put gas in our cars in order to get the maximum potential out of it. We got to take care of it and do the mechanical work so that it can perform at its best. And everything else around us works this exact same way. So take a moment right now to reflect on a moment where you realized you had to sacrifice something. Even if it was small, even if it was something that, at the moment, you may not have saw the significance in. And I guarantee once you do that, you'll realize how much of a huge impact it had on your life. You'll realize just how significant it was, the role that it played, and how things obviously played out in your favor because you were willing to sacrifice. And for some reason, it's something about humans being willing to give something up that attracts everything. I don't know what it is. I don't know why this is a thing, but when we get to that point mentally where we just accept things for what they are, where we learn acceptance and we put ourselves in a position to just move on, that's kind of like when everything just wants to come back into our lives. That's kind of like when we put ourselves in a position to attract, what we so desperately desire. And an example, I just always like to think of relationships. Just think of times where you may have been at your breaking point or at a point in your life where you finally just washed your hands with a relationship and you just didn't want anything to do with it anymore. And then for some reason, the very thing that you wanted so much at that moment that you finally decided to give up on and you walked away, now all of a sudden it wants you back. Or now all of a sudden they want you back. Now they want to be in your space. Now they want to contact you. Now they want to communicate, right? Acceptance more than anything will solve a lot of your problems because not only does it take that burden or that weight off your shoulders, it puts you in a completely different headspace because now that is not your main priority. That is not your focus. But this form of sacrifice that we all need to take into account, it will change your life dramatically. And I know that, for a lot of us, it could just lead to meaningful changes. When I stopped putting myself in a position to be selfish and I started to think about my future and being able to give things up in this present moment, I received way more than when I was just trying to hold on to everything. The more you put yourself in a position to cling on to things, to try to treat everything like if you lost it, it would just kind of ruin you or it would just have such a negative impact on you. It's almost like that's when everything tries to get away from you or it tries to repel. The blessings that we desire, the lifestyle that we want to live, if we're okay with losing those things and it's not necessarily a worry or a bother to us, it is going to stay longer, I promise you. Always just keep yourself alert. Always just keep yourself in a headspace to be thankful for what you have. But even when you do acquire the type of lifestyle that you want to live, do not let it get to your head. Be willing to sacrifice whatever you need to sacrifice for your better way of living. Even if that's people, even if that's family, whatever the case may be, but something has to go in order for you to receive the life that you want to live. And I really want you to take that into account. And quick little story time, man. As you can see, I'm somebody who's a firm believer that, at some stage during your life, you'll reach a moment or a point in time where you're just very confused. You may not know what direction to turn in. You may not know what you necessarily want to do with your life. But one thing that's really helped me push through moments like that and gain a sense of clarity is me always focusing on moving forward. I feel like what happens to a lot of people is they get so consumed by that thought or that negativity that they just stay stagnant. They stop thinking about how, time will continue to pass, things will continue to change, and it will not be like this forever. So you have to move forward, and you move forward by focusing on what the future has in store for you rather than allowing yourself to just be so fixated on this very moment. Yes, it's okay to solve the problems that you have right now firsthand. get that done. But always just keep that positive outlook on life and what's to come, because you have so much more in store for you than this very moment itself. You have a whole life to live. You have a whole lot of dreams to go out and conquer, and things to do with yourself, memories to build. So therefore, just because you may be going through something at this very moment does not mean that this is going to be the end story for you. During all of my low moments, all of my low periods in life, they may hurt, they may suck. Yeah, none of us wants to go through them. But one thing that I know for sure is they don't last forever. So keep that in the back of your mind. But always be willing to sacrifice whatever you need to sacrifice for the life that you want to live. Be willing to sacrifice that old relationship so that you can get blessed with a new relationship that you may desire. Be willing to sacrifice those old friendships so that God can bless you with friends that are actually aligned with your purpose, whatever it may take, man. But if you made it to the end of the video, I just want to say thank you so much. It's your boy Blue Jay Tay. Drop a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.